everyone, and welcome to Titan Theater Company's Creative Conversation, part of our new Shakespeare Online program. Creative Conversation is going to be a bi-weekly podcast where I talk to artistic leaders, artistic directors, casting directors from companies and organizations across the country. And today, to kick us off, we have a very special guest. We have Sandy Robbins from the Resident Ensemble Players in Newark, Delaware. Sandy, how are you today?
Well, thank you. It's great to be with you.
Well, it's great to have you. I really appreciate your time. Can you tell us a little bit about the Rep, how it goes in Delaware? They call it the Rep. And kind of talk about your season, what you normally do, your typical plays that you pick, the company, the size of the company, the contract you run on, all the things that people that are watching will want to know.
Okay, I'll remember as much of that as I can, and whatever I leave out, you ask.
Yeah, I'll keep running it by you.
So we're a resident professional theater company. We're located on the campus of the University of Delaware, although we're a distinct entity. We're not connected to any academic program. We have a resident company, full-time resident company of 9 equity actors, about 74 employees in total, and we do between 6 and 7 plays each season. Sometimes as many as 8, but that's rare. And it's a very eclectic bill of fare. We say that if you're coming to the theater and you see all our plays over a 4-year period, you will have seen all of the major genres and periods, so that for an undergraduate student who's matriculating at the University of Delaware, if they see 4 seasons with us, they will have seen the range of drama, at least Western drama. We operate under the IRTA equity contract, and we have an operating budget of about $7.5 million a year.
Excellent, excellent. So as we were talking about before we started, Titan Theater Company also has a resident company. You and I actually met back at the Milwaukee Rep in the early 2000s, and then I've been lucky enough to come down and do a couple shows with you in Delaware. What are the benefits of having a resident company in place and then bringing in guest artists to work with them?
Well, my viewpoint is that when you see an actor perform over and over again in a variety of different roles, when you see someone play Medea on Tuesday night and Blanche Dubois on Wednesday night and Lady Macbeth on Thursday night, in addition to the value of each of those plays, there's something else that happens. You start to see that a human being is not fixed in a particular character. You begin to see that you and I have the opportunity and the capacity to transform who we are. And I think that's the lesson that a really great acting company can deliver to us, is that we're not stuck playing the character we wound up as.
Mm-hmm. That's great. You know, and it kind of piggybacks, and we've talked about this not before the show today, but in rehearsals and things like that. I come from a major training program. My training background, I'm a big old actor training junkie, and you are one of the most famous actor trainers that America's ever had. So how do you feel? You can blink and nod your head and maybe not agree with me, but I bet the rest of the country would agree with me. I mean, you are very good.
If you stick around long enough, it's something you just outlive everybody else. That's all.
Well, how do you feel that as when you put together a resident company, because that's what you're looking for people that are trained to be able to do that. And having had the PTTP for so long, how do you feel as we're moving into the next generation? This will be a great segue to talk about what we're going to talk about next. How do you feel moving into the next kind of iteration of theater, how important that is, that training to be able to do more than one role? Because right now, especially in New York, and TV and film, everybody's kind of the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
They're typecast and they live there, but the ability to change. How about you talk about that?
Well, I think they're just two different things. They're two fundamentally different kinds of acting. And I like both. If I go to a Clint Eastwood movie, I don't want to wonder which one is Clint Eastwood. I think it's great. There's a lot of actors who are always the same, more or less, and you get to see them in different situations, but they're always pretty much the same, and that's enormously enjoyable. It's also a different enjoyment that I like, and obviously I prefer to see people who surprise me, who become something I didn't think they could become. And it, as I said a moment ago, it serves to remind me that I might be capable of something beyond what I have thought of as me. And as far as the training, yes, all of the members of our company are people that I trained, and obviously I'm partial to them.
That's completely normal. That's completely normal. Where I trained, their company is built out of the people with the same acronym as well. So as we start to segue into now, as Titan has postponed its season or moved its last show into its 2021 season, and Hope Summer Rep has canceled its entire season. Where is the Resident Ensemble Players season at right now?
Well, like I believe every theater company in America, we stopped. We canceled our season. We were into our 4th of 6 plays. We had just opened Arthur Miller's The Crucible. We performed one weekend, and then we stopped, and that was the end of that production, as well as the following 2 productions, which would have been Matthew Lopez's The Whipping Man and Round and Round the Garden by Alan Ayckbourn.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, for the safety of our audience and ourselves, we stopped, and we stopped right before we would have been ordered to stop anyhow. So
yeah, that was a unique thing for us up here. As we were weighing the possibilities, it really came down to safety, and then making sure that we came out and said, we want to lead on this part. We don't want to follow on this. We want to make sure that, as we were doing Romeo and Juliet, and
right.
That by no means is not an intimate show, just like The Crucible. You're going to have actors all over each other, and it was a very interesting thing. Are you going to roll over any shows? Where are you thinking about?
Well, we're not. We have about as many scenarios as I have fingers. Because it's, we just don't know when.
Yeah.
What we're, at the moment, the set and costumes for The Crucible are on our stage and in our shop.
Mm-hmm.
Although a great many of the cast aren't, because we have 9 resident company members, but that had a cast of 20-something. So an option is to bring those people back who were guests and remount that play, which didn't have much of its run. Mm-hmm. We have the set and costumes for Whipping Man and Round the Garden partially built, but we also have contracted directors and designers and actors for 6 plays for next season.
Yeah.
And so we're not sure. If I had my way and I had a magic wand and the virus would listen to me, I would have us open the season that we had planned for next year and do it, and then the following year revive the 3 plays that we were unable to do this year.
Yeah.
But I just don't know, Lenny. We're just taking it a day at a time, and depending upon when we can reopen and when it's both safe and intelligent from the point of view of people wanting and to go to the theater and being ready to go into public assemblies again, then when that starts to get clear, we'll make some decisions. At the moment, the only thing that I know for sure is that we have committed to honor all of our contracts so that the artists don't suffer. So I've been able to keep our entire staff on salary through the end of the season, and all of the guest artists that we had contracted to do plays that we're not doing, we're paying them as if they had done those plays, because I'm just unwilling. Wow. I'm just unwilling, no matter what the toll it takes on us, and it will take a toll. I'm unwilling for artists to bear the brunt of this. And so whatever it means to us and whatever we have to do, we're going to take care of the people who make the theater with us.
Absolutely. And speaking from personal experience, you are well known for taking care of artists. And in this time, that's a lot of questions, is how do we continue to take care of our artists?
Yeah.
Titan paid a partial salary to the people in Romeo and Juliet, and Hope did payouts as well. It's a real tricky thing, and what a company can sustain and what it cannot.
Yeah.
But you are truly a champion for that, so thank you. So the next question I have for you, Sandy, is something that is widespread across the country, is that the theater community is truly, we're shook, we're uncertain. There is, like you said, if I have a magic ball or I could tell the virus what to do, we would do this. In that time of uncertainty, people are going to look to you, to me, to artistic directors and producing directors and leaders across the country to kind of let them know what's going on, which is the whole idea of this web series. What do you think, or what are you doing, you feel that we can do right now to kind of keep things moving, not only in our companies, but the art form itself, especially because our job is bringing people together into a tight space, and now we can't do that. And also keeping our communities kind of active in terms of engagement with them. Do you have any ideas or thoughts on that?
I think the first thing we need to do is take care of ourselves and encourage people who work with us to take care of themselves, and to, excuse me, to know that life is always uncertain. It feels like it's way more uncertain right now, but that, as far as I'm concerned, that's an illusion. Life's uncertain. You can any moment have a tsunami or a heart attack or a earthquake, and so these are not the set of circumstances I would have voted for, but I don't get a vote on that. I do get a vote, and you and I always have a vote on who we're going to be in the circumstances, and that's about all we have a vote on. And so my sense of that is to do what I can to be of some service during this time, to give my colleagues and our audience whatever we can give them in this time, which is going to be over this medium, over the internet. It's not theater. I don't believe we should pretend that it is.
Yeah.
The fact is we can't do theater right now. That's what's so. And it won't be forever. And it'll be right up until it's not. and in the meantime, like most companies, we're going to, if equity will permit, and we're waiting to find out about that, we'll do something over the internet that we think can be entertaining. And I don't mean entertaining in the cheap sense, but can make a difference for people. And in the meantime, we'll prepare for better days. But to me, we got to take it every moment and be in this moment and then be in the next moment. And at some moment down the line, we're going to be able to do what we do again. In the meantime, there's other jobs to do, and those are the ones we ought to do.
You're exactly right. It's very interesting you say that we get the choice to be who we are right now in this moment. And as I've been talking with my team at both companies that I'm lucky enough to be looked to lead, we're taking this opportunity not only to breathe and to calm down, but to also kind of take a step back and look and go, we have this kind of, no pun intended, pause moment. This moment of pausing to go, remember when we always wanted to fix that?
Right.
Or that wasn't efficient enough, but we were always busy putting plays up. And so I think what you're saying is very powerful. and how we can choose as companies to give back in this medium. And I agree, this is not theater, but we can provide something right now, whether it's you and I talking or a chance for me to work with somebody in California who normally wouldn't be in New York for me to do a coaching with or something like that. It is not theater. There's an element that is missing, and it's the intimacy of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, to hear. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, our company right now, our primary activity is making masks and gowns and face shields. We're supplying a whole load of medical masks and face shields and gowns, and that's obviously difference making and productive, and uses some of the skill sets of at least our scene shop and our prop shop and our costume people, and a surprisingly large number of actors are pretty good at that too. Right?
Yeah, Titan's doing the same thing. We my wife and I, and who you know, Laura, very well.
Yes.
We walked over as many masks as we could get, our first hand and our resident costume designer and our costume shop manager. We walked them over to the fire station across the street here in New York. And 2 days later, we saw one of the firemen with a kitten mask on. It was made out of kitten cloth. It was really quite a special thing.
That's great.
You've already answered what you've been able to do to take care of your artists at this time, and that's been fabulous. So here's a tricky question. I'm interested to see what your take is on it. If we are indeed going to see a change to a new normal, what are some of the ways that you think you could see the theater adapt? And let's hope that normal comes back. 400 people sitting in the theater is okay. But let's say there's a cap of 100 and your house seats 375. Is there a way that you would begin programming, with, social distancing or things like that? Is there anything you thought about there?
It's a good question. I've not thought about it, and I don't know. I just don't know. For the theater to do what I believe it's intended to do, an audience has got to stop being who they are as an individual and become an audience.
Yeah.
That's I don't know that that's impossible to do 10 feet away from other people.
Yeah.
But it's damn harder, that's for sure. Part of what allows us to kind of lose ourselves into a theater experience, I believe, is proximity. But we may have the opportunity to find out if that's an essential component or not.
Yeah.
I don't think there'd be if we were told, you go ahead, but you can only have 100 people, I don't think that would be any kind of barrier. But if we were told those 100 people need to be 10 feet from one another, that would be a real challenge. It would be a formidable challenge, because as I say, the theater experience from my perspective requires that I can stop being this guy and instead be this animal called the audience. And I don't know how successfully I would be able to do that 10 feet away. I don't know. I've not tried.
Yeah.
And we'd have to work our way through that. You're
exactly right. And now talking to director, my goal is always and even as an actor, when I hearing an audience breathe together. And there's a reason why, and that's because of proximity. They had that article come out that said the audience's heartbeats will sync up during a show.
Yeah.
Again, that's the magic about what we do and how we've been able to, people have been saying for 4,000 years that theater is the dying art form, yet it never dies because it is such a special art form.
Yeah.
When you look at movies now, I always use the reference that Thor is real. Like Thor for me was a comic book, and now I look up at the screen and he's real and it all looks real. And then people are like, well, but you do plays. And I go, absolutely. I do plays because there's nothing more powerful than this, even Thor on a movie screen. And that you're right, that social distancing or the keeping the audience apart for safety. Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if the experience requires proximity. We've always assumed it does because we haven't been in a set of circumstances that challenges that. We may well be in a set of circumstances where we're going to have to discover how to evoke that experience while separated by more space.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm quite confident it does require us to be in the same space.
Mm-hmm.
There's other wonderful forms of storytelling.
Yeah.
But whatever this thing is, when we say the theater, whatever we mean,
Yeah.
I believe it does require sharing a physical space.
Yeah.
Whether it requires sitting next to one another or not, I suspect we're going to find out.
We're going to find out. Exactly. That's a great place to leave that question. We're going to find out. And I think as long as we keep moving forward, when we get to finding out what that is, we'll do the best with what we can.
Yeah.
So you kind of answered this, but let's hit on it one more time. You are looking at the fall as a possible restart date. I think we all kind of are.
I am. I'm looking at the fall for sure. If I was a betting guy, I wouldn't bet a lot of money that I'm going to be able to open in the fall, and that the winter looks more possible. But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have a season next year. And I don't mean just us. We're all speculating, but I think that's eminently possible, and that we need to be prepared for that possibility should it come to pass.
Yeah, and I don't want to get doom and gloom, but I think we can be realistic. It's one thing to flatten the curve. It's another thing to keep.
Yeah, that's right.
To not have it bounce back up. And
that's
again,
right.
Public safety being the thing.
Yeah.
And I think, from a personal standpoint, and I don't know what your take is, I don't think normal returns until a vaccine is there or a cure. And then I think, how do we continue to move forward without that? But yeah, I think we're all looking to the fall like this, going, let's hope to the point where we can, to be able to do something, and hopeful for that moment. So that's a great question to go there, to come to this. And we've hit on it a little bit, but maybe we can dig a little deeper on it. What do you think are some of the positives that we really can find in this moment? There's we're all feeling, a lot of people are feeling overwhelmed, or they feel all the lost contracts, all that stuff. But there's always a silver lining. And what do you think that could be right now?
I think we all have a chance to. It's not that we have a chance to grow now because of this. I think we always have a chance to grow. And I think we always have that. I don't know, life's a gift, and it's no less of a gift right now. And there's opportunities in this, like there are in any other moment. And there's a different set of opportunities, that's all.
Yeah. It's interesting, and a mutual friend of ours and a student of yours, Jasmine Grace, gave me some of the best advice. Yeah, whenever you say that name, everybody's face lights up. Said it's your job to be happy, to keep yourself happy, but as an artistic leader, it's also your job to keep everybody else safe. So she's like, you can't be in charge of happiness because that's a personal thing, but you can be in charge of everybody's safety. And that is a very unique kind of point of view right now. Yes. And kind of what you hit on earlier, right now it's a virus, but it could have been, for anybody, it could be heart attack, natural disaster, things like that impede putting up theater all the time. So yeah, you can't predict the future. So moment to moment is a solid motto. So this right now, before we kind of wrap everything up, you were talking about some possibilities. Is there anything you want to plug that you have coming up online programming wise? And if it's too early, it's too early. Like I said, you are the guinea pig. I want to make sure that your time is spent plugging your theater, not just supporting mine.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Well, you're welcome.
I wish I had something to plug. Well, whenever this ends, come to the Resident Ensemble Players and come see a play. That's the lamest plug I've ever.
Well, having been there and having seen shows there and having
been in them.
Yeah, and know everybody in them and been in them and seen your work for a long time and been around you for a while. I highly recommend checking out shows at the Rep there.
Thanks.
Doing good plays really, really well. That's one of my favorite things to see, and you guys excel in it.
Thank you.
So there's something you said to me, you said to the company, the last show I did with you full time was you can't take it with you. And you had said that was the third iteration you have done it. And every time you've done it recently, there had been something.
Yes.
Can you go through those three things and then I'll ask you the question?
I did that play first at the Alley Theater, and it was right after we invaded Iraq, and people were frightened and nervous about what's going to happen and are they going to bomb us and all that. And then the second time I did the play, also at the Alley, 10 or something years later, the artistic director asked me to do it again, and that time it was right after the financial breakdown, in 2008 when everything fell apart, and so my history. And then I did it here. I can't remember if anything horrible had happened, but I do know that my history of doing that play has been.
Well, I don't mind saying it because it is Titan's podcast, but it was right after Trump's election.
That's exactly.
And that was why you said you were doing it with us in Delaware.
That's right. You have a better memory than I. Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason I say that, because it stuck with me, and which is why I added this question, and I'll make all the people that follow you answer this question as well. And it's kind of an on-the-spot question. If you could do one play right now, what would you do?
Gosh. Well, let me think about it.
Yeah.
A couple plays come to mind. Can I say more than one?
Yeah, of course.
The Cherry Orchard is about what changes and what stays the same. It seems to me. But I think I'd do the Skin of Our Teeth.
Yeah.
And remind all of us, myself included, that things go on, horrible things happen, terrible things, disasters, millions of people die, the very fabric of the earth itself changes, and something goes forward, and something will go forward after this. I like that play a very great deal, and I like what it reminds me of.
Yeah. So there you go. Great plays, done well. I know you can't take it with you again. So, but I want you to know, because of working with you on it and the things you said, it's made the short list of every company I run.
Well, I'm pleased. You do it. You do it. You would do a fine job with it, I'm sure.
So, well, thank you. The last question, and it's all over. The pain ends for you. And I wanted to make sure that you don't get grilled the entire time. The last thing you get to do is you get to ask me a question, and it could be anything you want, and I'll answer it.
What are you doing to, how are you using your time when you can't be doing what you're normally paid to do?
That's a great question. So the biggest thing we've done is immediately kind of wanted to fill a void in terms of offering something, which is why you and I are talking this Shakespeare Online program. And that's with Titan, trying to figure out the most heartbreaking thing for me with the cancellation of Romeo and Juliet, also caused the cancellation of the school tour as well, was that over 1,000 young people weren't going to get exposed to Shakespeare. So we immediately put into place some sort of online education program that we could still, especially now that schools are doing this format, how do we make sure, we're very lucky all the schools are going to roll over and see Romeo and Juliet, hopefully next season, knock on wood. But how do we keep engaging them now in this new platform when there's teachers that are going, what am I going to do with them? What am I going to do with them? And if I can take 2 classes from them and teach them Shakespeare, that's a big deal. For Hope, we're really looking at, having only been the artistic director there for a couple years, we're taking this time to kind of look at the company and go, all right, remember all those things we wanted to implement? Let's try and figure out, rather than going, this is a good idea, let's do it, and then have it work and then go, oh no, now we got to keep that good idea. Now we're going to be able to step back and set the company up for longevity and sustainability throughout the future. So that was a really great question, Sandy. Thank you.
That's great. Good for you. Congratulations on it.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I can't thank you enough for
completely a pleasure.
And you let me know when you get some other stuff going, and I'll plug it on the next one and make sure that the whole world knows exactly what you're doing. Again, I'm a huge fan. You're a great mentor and boss. I've been able to have you be both. So thank you for your time. And goodbye, everyone. Thank you for our very first creative conversation. And we'll see you at the next one. So thank you.